So we're moving on to task 2. And this involves updating views. So our boss would like us to update VI view and set all of IBM's invoices to the current date. The date in our system is wrong. So we are going to do an update. And this is kind of coded very similar to updating tables, right? We're just using the view instead of the table. The data that gets changed is the real table data. Okay? When it creates a view, it's not like it makes a duplicate table. This is your real table. So we're going to do set invoice date equal to the current date. So we're going to use get date. And we only want to do this where the vendor name is equal to IBM. Okay, so whenever you do updates, super important that you include the where statement. So let's go ahead and run it. Okay, and 2 rows are affected. That sounds pretty accurate. If you were concerned, you could actually run the view. You could do the select, asterisk from VI view. And you can actually throw a little where in here. Okay. And we'll take a look at those 2 rows, and it is pulling in today's date. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. So for our next little update scenario, our boss wants us to create a vendor payment view that includes the vendor name, invoice number, invoice date, payment date, invoice total, credit total, payment total, from the invoices and the vendor table. Only rows where invoice total minus payment total minus credit total, which is the balance, greater than 0, should be included. Okay, so I'm going to pause while I type this in, and then we will take a look at it. So I have coded up the updates. So it will be changing payment date to the current date. And then we will separately change Malloy lithographing to 2016 April 2nd and a specific amount. Now when you run this, what's going to happen is the first one is going to affect all of the rows. The second one will affect 1 row. And then when you run your select, you're only going to see 17 because changing Malloy made it so that it no longer has the balance greater than 0. So they aren't going to display in here anymore, and that can happen sometimes when you're working with views. So our boss would like us to do another little update. So let's move our closing comment down. They want us to add a vendor to our vendor Southwest view. Now this is actually going to update our vendor table. And for this to work, we have to fill in default terms ID and the default account number. And we have to make sure we're using valid values, and this is because of the foreign key constraints. So we're going to use AP, and we're going to do go. We're going to do an insert into, and it's vendor Southwest. Now we're using the view, but keep in mind it is going to insert into our actual vendor table. And the columns that we are going to be using is vendor name, vendor city, vendor state, vendor zip code, default terms ID, default account number. And then we got our values. Cookies, candies, San Jose, California, 95035, 2, and 572. And then we'll just do another go for fun. And let's go ahead and run that. Okay, so it did add the row. And let's move our closing comment down. We have one final update. So again, we're going to be using vendor Southwest, and our boss wants us to remove the IRS from our vendor list. So first, we're just going to do a little select so we can see the record. It's always kind of a good idea to run just a normal select before you do a delete. So now we're looking at it. And now I'm going to copy this and adjust it for the delete. So I want delete from vendor Southwest, where the vendor name is equal to Internal Revenue Service. So super important on a delete or an update that you include the where. If you forget it, you basically delete everything. So we're going to go ahead and execute. Okay, and we would expect one row, and that's exactly what we got.